Welcome back. Another look here at the Republican ticket that's been the talk of Indiana politics. Mike Braun and Micah Beckwith, who won a stunning vote at the GOP convention. Then this week, Jennifer McCormick naming her running mate, Terry Gooden, who still has to be voted in by convention delegates next month. So let's talk about it all right now with our panel. Joining us here in studio this week, we have former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, 2016 vice chair for the Indiana Trump campaign, Tony Samuel, and two former state lawmakers. For the Democrats, former state rep Terry Austin, and for the Republicans, former state rep Mike Murphy. So Mike, I'll start with you. Running mates don't always make a big difference, but this year there's been a lot of reaction already to these choices and selections and what they could mean in the race for governor.
Two very different styles, two very different personalities and philosophies, quite frankly. I think they're going to do well, though. I think they're still going to win by 10 to 20 points. The key for Micah being accepted and accepting his own role is to find a way to be successful in the secular world while not compromising his faith. And that's not an easy thing. Mike Pence was able to do it for many years, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Terry, let's talk about Jennifer McCormick's running mate as well. You served in the General Assembly with Representative Gooden. Some progressives and LGBTQ allies were concerned about Gooden, some of his views on those issues and also abortion. He addressed that pretty much right away in his speech on Thursday.
He did, and that's to his credit. Let me tell you something. Terry Gooden is a wonderful human being. He really is. He's smart. He and I were both in education at upper levels. He is a terrific campaigner, knows how to raise money, but more importantly, he has a strong following in Southern Indiana. Strong following. And I think he was an excellent choice for Jennifer McCormick. It also shows that Democrats can be moderate, even somewhat conservative, and without being crazy. And so I'm thrilled that she made this choice.
Tony, on the Republican side, we heard Mike Braun's comments last week that he was the one in charge here, not Micah Beckwith. And there was this memo from Jim Bopp and the concerns that Beckwith could potentially hurt Republicans this fall, not only in the race for governor, maybe in the AG's race as well. What's your reaction to some of those concerns?
I don't think he hurts at all. I think he brings a lot to the ticket. What he brings is disenchanted Republicans that were the base of the Republican Party that left and might have went and voted for Donald Rainwater 4 years ago. They're coming back. He also was able to talk down Jamie Ritenour and Paige Miller, who were going to run, very conservatives, were going to run as an independent. They had a conversation, an independent ticket, had a conversation earlier this week, and now they're not. They're on board. So, you know, it's going to bring back the Republican base. As far as the in charge comment, I heard Mike on the radio earlier this week, and he said, yeah, he is in charge. He's the head of the ticket. He's the one running for governor. I'm going to be a partner with him. He's saying all the right things. They've met a couple of times. They met earlier this week, and then the campaign summit. And those meetings I talked to Mike about have gone outstanding.
Robin, what's your view on all this from across the aisle?
Terry Gooden, it's in his name. He's good man. So the fact of the matter is that this is a man who's also a farmer. Keep that in mind. Just this past week, Dan, who was at the hearings about taxes in Indiana? Farmers talking about property taxes. He understands that because he's a farmer. He understands rural America because the president appointed him to help lead our programs in rural Indiana. So I think it's a win for us. As far as comparisons, both of these people are going to be very energetic campaigners for their team.
We're going to have that debate we mentioned with the candidates for governor October. We might have to have a debate with the candidates for lieutenant governor as well here. We'll see. Again, Braun and McCormick will square off here in our studios this October. Meantime, this coming Thursday night, the first debate in the race for president, President Biden and former President Trump one-on-one. And Mike, this is a far earlier debate than we're used to seeing. Who stands to gain here, and what do you think we'll see on Thursday night?
Well, I think they both stand to gain. First, it takes the attention away from Donald Trump's 34 felony convictions and 50 or 60 more waiting in the wings. And it also gives Biden a chance to recover, partially with his immigration announcement last week, but just generally recover from what have been some low and continuing to sink polls.
Terry, what does President Biden need to do Thursday night to shore up his campaign? He's made some progress in those polls, but it's still been such a close race.
Well, it is a close race, but I think Joe Biden will convey to the American public the things that his administration has done to help improve the lives of America and the people who live and work here. Job growth is at record numbers. The economy is booming. However, people still feel the pinch because of rising prices. I'm not so sure you can blame all of that on inflation, quite honestly. People are beginning to look at corporate profits and what's gone on there. But I think he will demonstrate that he's very competent. He's a likable person. You have to like someone before you'll vote for him.
Tony, what's your response to that, and what do you think we'll see on the debate stage?
Well, you'll see the contrast between the 4 years that Donald Trump was in office and the almost 4 years that Joe Biden's in office. The reason Biden's numbers are spiraling downward are because of that difference in what happened in Trump's years and what the economy and all of these other problems are happening now. So, you know, Biden has the most to lose, I think, and he's already spiraling downward. Trump has, I think, will do better in the debate, and he's got a record to prove it, so I think this helps Trump.
Robin, quickly, you get the last word here. What are you expecting from this first debate?
I think it'll encourage people to go vote. I mean, Dan, look how long this has been going on. Usually presidential debates are in October. We're in middle of June.
Late June,
right?
right?
Like not even before 4th of July. Mike, you know, you kick off your campaign in Labor Day. Look how far in advance we are doing this. So I hope we'll encourage people to go vote by listening to these candidates.
All right, coming up next, the U.S. Olympic swim trials come to Indianapolis with several Indiana swimmers qualifying for the Olympics. You'll hear from them up next.